I've picked a spot on the east coast of Australia. It's about an hour and a half south of Brisbane, my hometown. It's world famous now, Surfers Paradise, which is to the north, but there's plenty of access with little walkways to the beach. It's probably a little early at the moment, but I'll choose a light effect a little later in the day where I've got some shadow casting onto the beach. We've got the ocean out there, we've got the white water, lots of excitement, heaps of figures walking by. So I don't think we've got any worries about visual information or visual excitement. So let's see how I go. Now this did take a little longer to wait to get the right lighting than I originally expected, but a lot of times when you see a good scene, it can be good in numerous lights, but I'd kind of painted a lot of beach scenes with just full sunlight in the foreground, and it's always good to try new things. So I think the initial part is to get the ocean area in. It's such a pivotal part, not so much visually, but more tonally. The darkness of the water up against the sand and sky will prove to be fairly important. And I think that's a great lesson in itself, that when we're looking for something to paint, I more like to think I'm looking at drawings, black and white tonal drawings. So I'm looking at the darks first, almost like a watercolorist would need to, because they will finish with their darks. They need to know where their lights are. So that's why I'll be planning my painting via the lights and darks, and especially where the darks are, because I'm having to put the midtones and darks in early, and then all the lights, as they say, normally look after themselves. And actually the interesting thing with this scene was that there was a little dark passage in the sand in the distance as well. It wasn't all just one continual shadow, and I had to sort of think to myself, do I alter it to make it sort of how you would normally think it appears, or should I continue with how it actually does? So that's always a fine balance in what's there and what do I need as well. Probably, if anything, I probably would have liked just that little bit more light on the beach. But such is life, as they say. That's the way things work out. And I think it's a subject that's always a very popular subject to paint and to be viewed as well. So that's a good little thing to remember when we're choosing subjects. We also do want to choose, not always, but because we can blaze our own a path that no one's ever painted before and make a great success of it. But every now and then it doesn't hurt to say, if snow scenes, you live in a snowy area, people love to see the snow, paint a lot of snow scenes. Where this is probably a Queensland snow scene, that meaning the beach. And I've always equated to painting snow and sand not that different. Especially the Australian beaches, we have a lot of very light, sometimes cream coloured sand, but with a lot of sunlight on them, they can appear very white. And that brings back the snow scene, where snow scenes normally aren't all white. They can be a lot of greys and reflected blue light from the sky, and that's where the similarity really does come in. This blue that I'm putting in, ultra blue, a little bit of white, a little bit of alizarin, maybe a tiny little bit of yellow ochre as well, just to grey it off, because there's no pure colour in a painting because of the atmosphere, because it starts right at our eyeballs, travels to as far as that we can see. So everything should be tinted with a tiny little bit of blue if our eyes were super sensitive. But that's technically how the atmosphere does affect colour, and that's why the further the shape goes away, the more blue-ish or blue influence that will appear. So just bringing in a little bit of that lighter cloud, so a little bit more white, tiny little bit of alizarin, just the tiniest little bit. Now I'm bringing in a little bit of the phthalo blue as the sky goes down, because we have to remember that the blue sky is in the back there, but we just have that marvelous big cloud in front of it. So once again, we're building up depth and distance just in the sky. Actually, I almost sort of thought, this is such a great sky. It almost could become a sky study in itself. How to paint clouds. This could be just a cloud study painting. And you see I'm putting on the paint on a little thicker here and there, and in a lot of cases I will tone that down a little and remove quite a bit of the brush mark, mainly because it is so far away. I'm more wanting the brush texture to be in the foreground, closer to where my feet would be, and just diminishing as it goes further away. So there, just coming in and almost sort of mopping up some of those shapes, adjusting some of those values, because there is a temptation to go a little hard at it, put too much in the sky. But there's some lovely little delicate, slightly warmer clouds right on the horizon line as well, and that can help with that effect of getting the round earth, or the fact that the sky actually doesn't go straight up. It actually, of course, goes up above our head. And there wasn't a great deal of the grasses in this scene, but they act as great little directional lines. But their most important benefit is their tonal aspect, that nice bit of dark value up against the grass. And I think it also is important to make sure I get as much depth and distance via the sand as well, because it's such a big area, big part of the painting. That's super important. But I'm loving the attitude of that little sand dune. Maybe out a little too far, might be a fraction too long. But that is something that future colleague can figure out. And notice how I'm rolling that brush. I'm trying to get the sense that the grass, that shape isn't flat, of course, but it is three-dimensional, so that's why I'm rolling that brush. Normally I would do it with foliage as well, and some clouds and other shapes, and probably at this stage, got to be careful that I don't overwork the little sand dunes as well, and the grass on the dune. And we can really dictate how many figures we put in. I think I had that one great little dark figure up against the light, even though I placed it in a slightly different spot, because I think I wanted to use that island, or the little sand dune. It's almost like a little green island, to push the eye to that figure there, and then just place a few little dots and dashes where someone might be out in the water and they've just left their towels and all that. Over the years, I think there's been a really good beach culture in Australia, and this probably also adds to our skin troubles as well. But this one's well and truly done in the studio. So that's sort of wrapping things up. I think I love that foreground on the left-hand side especially. Still got to, just finesse that one there just a little more and I'll be done. What I learnt with this painting was it was truly about the light effect. The car shadow, the splash of light, a little bit of movement on the water, but the light and drama in the sky. I really loved it. It was kind of a bit of a throwback to subjects I used to paint when I was in my first 10 or 12 years. But it's always nice to revisit those favourites, and this was one. Hope you enjoyed it. All the best. Bye for now.